This conference will now be recorded.
Here we go.
Full quorum, don't we?
Well, we can decide all
First
kinds
time
of
for a while.
things. The sky's the limit.
I'll call the meeting to order. Second item on the agenda is to adopt / amend the agenda. Are there any changes?
Go ahead.
Nothing? Nope. Is there a motion?
Make motion to approve meetings, agenda from the July 11th, 2023.
Well, we're just approving today's
not the
agenda
minutes.
first.
Oh, agenda, sorry.
Sorry.
I'll second.
Just the agenda.
I'll second it.
Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, carries 7. All right, approval of the July 11 minutes.
I think there are two corrections. Pat Callahan wasn't here, it was one of his officers.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then on the part B, number 2, it says 4 ducks is the minimum, should that be maximum?
What?
The last.
Oh, thank you.
Where's it say that?
I see it.
Under B, number
Two.
number 2 and number 2 under.
Second page.
B, review the zoning ordinance under that one.
Right there.
So change minimum to maximum.
And I think, was it Justin Wallerick that was here?
It was a tall tree.
Oh, that's Tony then.
Yeah, Tony was here.
Tony?
Well,
Got it.
And he's there already.
And Pat wasn't.
yeah, he's on there, but Pat's on there.
Well, I didn't read that far. That would you got good, whatever it is.
He stopped in, said hi, and I left.
All right. with those Changes, any additional issues? Otherwise, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor to approve July 11th, 2023 minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, carries. Next, we are on for a public hearing regarding the laying ducks for 5:35. So we're there. Any preliminaries, or should I just open the public hearing? Kurt?
I think it's pretty much the same as before. They did add a couple 4 duck maximum.
We'll talk about 10 birds total. As far as chicken and duck, you can have a total of 4 ducks maximum of those 10 is in the ordinance. As well as to define what a parcel is. I used your verbiage that you sent me under letter E.
Yeah, that,
Parcels is which, it's underlined there.
I didn't have a lot of time to think that over, so if we want to look at that language and see if we can
Yeah.
define it
All
better.
of the underline?
Everything you see underlined is added.
Okay.
The last underline says which is defined as one or more lots or tracts
Yeah.
which are associated with a principal residential dwelling. To define what a parcel is. Because the issue came up in a meeting, you know, that if I owned 10 parcels of land in Zambroda, I could have 100 chickens and ducks. A mixture, because I have
Right.
10 ducks here, 10 ducks there.
Yeah.
And so Matt pointed out you couldn't do that.
Couldn't?
Correct.
Right. That would only be 10 associated with the principal dwelling.
One other thing Kim just brought up is under number 5, there's a reference to accessory structures and runs. What is that, like chicken run, or what does that mean, run?
It's the chicken.
The ramp?
Yeah.
Obviously, I
You
didn't
get
grow
like
up on a farm.
a wired covered area for them to walk and be outside in, basically.
Shall be at least 10 feet from all property lines, so we're still, as you'll find out in new business, we're still having an issue on accessory structures in residential districts. So are we okay with the concept that any type of chicken house or duck structure is considered an accessory structure under the overall ordinance where we're limited to what, 2?
I would think that would make sense, wouldn't it?
I think so.
And like, if you had, say you just put up a tool shed, is it 10 feet setback from the property line for that also, or is that just because of the chickens here?
I think that was chicken specific.
I think it's 5 feet.
Okay, that's what I was saying.
Sorry, just make.
Or my daughter is in Denver, that's like the other side of the fence. It's that close and feathers fly through the fence all the time. Oh yeah.
See, those are the unknowns. I know a lot of cities have done it. I know Minneapolis allowed it. And it's always, anytime we're doing these new concepts, it's like, what have the other cities encountered and what are the issues? And
No, I
it's,
like that 10 feet setback.
And that's already in the ordinance as the 10-foot one. It's not being
but
changed.
to add on, Brian, if it's a shed that's under the minimum to where there's not a permit, then what is it? 5 foot is the minimum? So any type of tool shed or something.
Yeah, it's 5 feet, but we don't issue a zoning certificate or anything, so we don't really go looking for it unless there's a complaint. And then we,
They would have to get a permit for this though, right? The chickens.
I don't,
That was my,
don't think so.
don't think they have,
Well, it says they
well,
have to
yeah.
know.
I thought they had, yeah.
Yeah, you would just.
Tell the city, right? And then as long as they adhere to the.
That's right, because
Mhm.
permits are nice, but staff is usually overwhelmed. And if there's a way around it to add another layer of burden, that's why we didn't do it.
Unless it's a chicken coop that's over 200 square feet.
And it says number
Right.
8, prior to the keeping of chickens or the laying ducks. With this section, property owners should notify the city in writing on a form provided by the zoning administrator. They'd have to tell you when they're bringing in the ducks.
Yep, that was kind of the fallback rather than applying for a permit and requiring staff to go out and approve everything. And unless we want to hire somebody else at City Hall.
One thing that I know is going to be brought up too is about ducks like to have that little paddle around puddle place and everything, and part about no kiddie pools allowed. I agree, because they'll turn into mosquito nests and mess, but somebody that raises ducks is going to say, hey, well, what am I supposed to do then? Because that's what they want.
Right.
Yeah,
the
don't
ducks
you need
need
them?
water. They aren't like chickens.
Kevin
They
had-
need water to.
Kevin had an answer for that.
Yeah, I sent videos.
What was the
It's like
answer?
a bucket of water with a fence over it so the ducks can just clean off their
They gotta clean off their
face.
That's what he said?
bill.
Sent examples of it to us.
Yeah.
Kevin, comment on it? I mean, obviously he's going to see this at council level, but if he's had comments on this ahead of time, rather address it on the planning level first. Did he ever get a chance to see this?
I assume he did.
I didn't actually send it to him, so I don't know. Should I see if he can come in quick?
I'm just curious.
Yeah, well,
There's kiddie pools all over the place.
Yeah, that's not for duck crap.
No, ducks in them.
Well, when you talk about mosquitoes, there's-
You fill it full of duck crap, it's going to be different.
I would think he was okay cleaning. But as long as he's okay with it, and like Matt said, if he's already commented on it, then.
Yep, that first meeting we had, he commented on that. Oh, he had all kinds of, the guy knows a lot of stuff about ducks.
Okay.
I think it's great stuff. I mean, when he was on the contract.
Yep.
So maybe he used
That type of a thing there too, I'm guessing.
Well, all right, I'll just officially open the public hearing. Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. And then, I don't know, are there any other concerns with the overall language or the underlying language? How about if you were an outsider And you were trying to interpret, for instance, the definition of parcel there, right under the first big paragraph in E. If you read that, would that be clear to you, or would you still wonder, what exactly does that mean?
You say a parcel is associated with a principal residential dwelling to make it less.
What I want, remember
Well, I
that,
think you need to state that it considers more than one lot. I mean, that's our point, right? Because when it was brought up before, it was like, well, I have one house, but I own 4 lots next to my house. So that means I could put chickens on 4 different lots and have 40 chickens. No, that's not what
Rental
we're,
property, the rental people could, like,
but
let's say.
that's a principal residence. That would be
Oh,
a
okay.
residence on that lot. I think what we're trying to achieve is that someone who has
Just
a house with
An
4
extra
lots that are
Blank lots or-
contiguous,
Or even, I
that,
used to have a property that had 3 lots. One was about the size of each of these tables. There were separate lots on my parcels.
Okay.
was so someone couldn't have 50 chickens if they had
Yeah.
5 lots and 1 house.
Yeah, are there even any places
sometimes
around?
those lots can either be combined into one giant tax parcel, or they can be separate tax parcels. So we want to make sure.
We saw that here recently.
Yeah, we want to make sure a combination of both is all just one, tied to one principal dwelling.
Yes.
Principal spelled right, is it A-L or L-E there in our ordinance? Is it L-E?
Should be A-L.
Principal
That's a
is
person.
L-E.
Principal's a person, I think.
I think it's A-L.
PAL is a person.
Oh, I remember way back in grade school, they said principal
It's
our pal.
is our
Pal.
pal, and we
Yeah.
all laughed and the teacher got mad.
I remember it.
But you remember that, didn't you?
But I think principal, like the main, that's A-L.
I thought
I thought it was the
that's L-E.
opposite.
Oh, no, that's A.
AL is like a person, like you said, a pal.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but the principal,
The principal.
like the principal, like your interest in principal, it's A-L. Principal and interest.
No,
Principal with-
yes, that's A-L, but the principle of the argument, or the
That's-
principle
yeah,
of the
that's L-E.
concept is
Oh,
L-E.
But if you're talking about a main thing, like a principal structure, that's the main structure. so that'd be
Principle with an
A-L.
L
That's
is a
AL.
rule, a law, or a guideline, or a fact.
LE.
Yeah.
We want L-E?
Yeah.
Sorry, Kurt, I just, being dumb. Well, then,
Hold on, though.
No,
We're talking
it's
about a
AL.
structure, it's
It's
AL.
A-L.
It's AL.
Principal also is an adjective that means original, first, or most important. AL.
Keep
Thing
reading.
says,
Yeah.
yeah, principal structure or building means the main structure.
Kind of nerdy about
Yeah.
There you go.
That's good. That was-
Not like you were a teacher.
Sorry,
You were-
Ian.
He was a geography teacher, so,
Principal.
but he did visit the principal a lot.
That's right. PAL.
Good catch, Matt.
Pardon?
Are you getting your ducks?
My favorite duck?
Principal structure.
We had
possible
ducks next to
negative
us in
vote.
Arizona.
I look
Did
forward to
It
vote.
was a
All right.
farm parcel, yeah. Oh, they had the
I think
water.
someone would have, a beautiful property in, well, one of the nicer places out by the golf course or wherever, and somebody came in and wanted ducks there. You can't imagine the mess that they make.
Well, it's gonna be a burden on the owner, and if it starts to get stinky, you have to clean it up, otherwise we're gonna have to tell them you're not complying.
And then what would you do? Fine them? And they keep it
A
up?
lot of people going out buying ducks. I don't know. I just don't think so.
We don't really have a lot of chickens. I mean, we
Right,
have some,
right.
but
So I think we're making,
Ducks for pets.
right. I don't have a problem
I
with
can
that.
have the same, the same.
Did the
They
county,
aren't like chickens.
But as far as the number of people that will have them.
Right.
Limited, because you're only gonna get them for laying, you're not getting them for playing.
We just have to send them the usual letter from City Hall, and then have the chief go out and visit with them, and
is that effective?
I don't have a problem.
sometimes. Depends on who you're dealing with.
Does the county feedlot officer or board of health have any comments on this? I mean, they're referenced in here. So.
But it's just the nature of ducks to make a mess. I mean, just so you know, that I've had ducks and they are.
That was part of the chicken ordinance. We didn't change that.
People can be a mess though, we know. As we know, so.
But people, it's different people to people, but ducks are a species that makes a mess. They just do.
Thank goodness it's not geese.
Like he's,
A sloppy.
Geese would be another
and
story. Geese would be another story.
Well, other than some of this, we're in a position to either revisit it again or recommend approval or move on. One way or the other, we could recommend these changes for approval to city council if we wanted to.
This was posted, right, as a public hearing, and no one came. So I might be with you that there might not be a ton of interest in laying ducks in general.
It's usually put up on the website, right, Brian?
In the paper. Yep, official posting.
No comments on Sprout Town Talk, no rules or anything like that. Okay.
Nothing. Nope, nobody called in. Nope, nothing.
Oh, I read the paper. Probably a lot of people in Zumbrota haven't raised ducks either to know what mess they make.
Right.
That's probably true.
Well, they'll find out probably better of them if they do. Chickens are great till it gets cold and then you keep them warm.
I'm torn. I'd like to see the option for people, but I am concerned too that it can be a messy and that you have trouble with your neighbor trying to get them to clean it up.
Right.
What is,
And when this is gross, but when they poop, I mean, it gets to be a matted mess because that's the way ducks are. They don't have a bladder. They just, everything goes straight through and pretty soon you've got a solid mass of mess. And they almost have to have a big thing of water to bathe in to clean themselves up. And when that's incorporated, you get even more of a mess.
well, weird question, Kim, but how many, like if we have, how many homes in our community, how many are actually raising chickens?
As far as how many we know,
Yeah, well, yeah, or we know of.
Because we're supposed to know all of them.
5 to 10, I would say it's maybe.
Yeah, I
And
think
how
we're
many
making a
residents
bigger
do we
deal
have
about this
in the
than
community? How many
4,000.
homes?
We sent
we
out
need to move.
1,481
Make a
water.
motion.
So
They
that's
get close to 1,500 homes.
10 people are raising chickens?
Nah, I would say that'd be a lot.
That's 10 that we know of,
Yeah.
that have called and done the process, hey, I'm getting chickens,
I'm gonna bring,
But chickens are different than ducks. It's like having a pet coon or a pet dog, it's just, they're totally different. They are.
And of the cities that you had contacted to get information on their different ordinances, did they offer any violation concerns or cleanliness concerns
Brainerd
or
and
anything like
Manchester
that?
were so few people were involved in it, wasn't even an issue in those communities. So
And this guy's wife has a allergy to chicken eggs, right?
Yeah.
So he's got a purpose, a reason.
And they sell duck eggs at the Greenstead.
Yeah. Well, if we just talk about that one property, I don't know how you're gonna fit another building on there and meet the guidelines and not hit more than 2. There's
I
already
was
2
thinking
good
that.
sized buildings there. The target our discussion.
The duck property, you mean? Yeah, I was by there too. I know, right.
I don't know where you're gonna even put it.
I know, that's what I thought too. It's already pretty discombobulated.
Yeah.
Would it be added on to an existing structure, expanded that?
That'd be over 200 square feet, you need a permit. I don't know if you got room to get 10 feet from the property line with it then.
It's hard when you have a detached garage to stay within the
I
accessory
know.
structure,
I know.
And do we say,
guidelines.
Does it say in here where in the yard it can be? Could be in the front yard?
Good point.
Have any of the rest of you seen where this place is that wants the ducks? You've been by there?
No.
Okay. Well, it would be worth the drive-by.
I'm okay with the ducks. One guy, I think we can.
What's our normal zoning ordinance say about location of accessory structures? I don't think it'll
It's
spare
a
a lot.
corner lot, so that makes it a little.
right. So it still has to fall under the accessory structure, so that would limit to where you can put the, that's where it would come in. That would be, I think, rear yard. I don't think you can put one in the front yard. So, yeah, that's a good point.
Do we vote?
If anybody wants to make a motion, to recommend approval to council, whatever you like.
Does anybody else have anything else to say? Otherwise, let's move to a vote.
Is that a motion then to approve?
That is the motion
As it states.
as it stands.
Motion second. Any further discussion beyond what's already been discussed? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye.
All right.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Carries 6-1-0. So that'll go to council next meeting probably.
Yep, I'll do it on the next one.
Next, there's no old business, then 6A, new business, set public hearing for CUP on Schuman Building height. So what's happened here is, well, if you remember back in March, we approved conditional use permit for the building height being 21.5 feet, allowed the size to be whatever it was in square feet. Still denied any accessory structures beyond the 2. And then Mr. Schuman and his attorney are still contesting generally the accessory structure issue and still making an issue of it. So now we've had to get the League of Minnesota Cities involved, and their recommendation, even though we sort of, well, let's go further back. We had a public hearing on the initial variance issue, and that was denied. And then council instructed staff to enlist the help of the Planning Commission to try to work through a win-win solution. Kind of did it more of an administrative approach to it. But now, since there's still an issue being made, the League of Minnesota Cities is recommending we actually make our decision back in March and council's decision approving that in April more official. So calling another public hearing on the conditional use permit issue to basically ratify what was already done last March and April. So that's the whole point of this.
So it's not a different ask, it's just a procedural.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Clarification, 21.5, that was about the same height as his house, so we were saying no higher than the house, right?
Yeah, so I thought it was pinned down to 21.5, but the meeting minutes mentioned something about house height. So do you?
Well, they were both talked about. The height was talked about. 21.5 feet was what he was requesting, and it was stated that it's not taller than his house. His house is still taller than that.
Yeah, that's
But it was 21.5 feet that we.
right, but not
was
to,
his request.
and not to exceed the height of the house.
But I think the CUP, the conditional use permit, is saying 21.5 feet, right?
Yes.
That was his request.
Based on the height of the house.
Yes.
If he lied about that, then we got a problem.
Blueprints are in there too.
Somehow that house site was verified somewhere along the line, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I didn't go measure it. He just said it was shorter than his house.
Okay.
which would make sense, kind of a barn shaped thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty tall on that side. I mean, his house was. Taller on the one side.
That's
so-
two stories. And I still treat this like a public hearing where I send letters out to everybody within 350
Yep,
feet.
got to redo it all, just like we did for the variance.
We need to be specific that this is for the CUP for height, not for.
Yeah, it's written on there.
You got that.
But to follow up on that, our conditional use permit section in our ordinance does allow other conditions or restrictions. So to tie into that, proposed conditional use permit is going to say, also cross-reference the size that he's proposing, as well as the number of accessory structures. And if he's exceeding that, he's technically in violation of the zoning ordinance. So the permit would only be issued if he agrees to remove those accessory structures what did we say, within 30 days after substantial completion of the building, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that'll still be part of the permit.
So is the public hearing for the CUP is just for the height?
Yep.
Okay.
With those additional conditions,
So I just
which,
put the additional in the letter.
That was the original motion that was passed.
That was, because those.
because your letter's pretty brief, right? You wouldn't be enclosing the proposed resolution, right?
Did you write it already?
Right.
It's probably not necessary. I mean, it is primarily the height that's being discussed, which was already approved.
Okay.
So how many more steps does this go before? I don't know how this works. So how many more steps do you go through before it's like, you got nothing else to do but either build the shed at this or in luck? How does that work?
To Mr. Schuman and his attorney on why they want to push it.
Yeah, this isn't the normal way.
Okay. So he wants it 21 and a half feet, but we're saying what?
There's no change on what we did
Okay, so
last March or
I was
April.
trying to understand what you, oh,
It was done a little bit differently than maybe what the League of Minnesota Cities or
Oh.
or his
Wasn't
attorney
documented.
is asking
Okay.
for. Correct? Is that correct?
We held a public hearing once, but it was a variance. Then we converted it over to a conditional use permit, and we tried to keep it more administrative and not hold another public hearing essentially on the same issue, giving the same notices. And then now they're recommending we do. So it's a repeat.
okay.
And we had a formal denial at the council level of the variance. And then they said, but directed staff to work with Mr. Schuman to see what he can build, to see if there's a way he can build something close to what he wants. And so then that got the ball rolling and we worked with him.
Yeah, okay.
And,
Right.
you know,
Essentially tried to streamline it,
yeah,
in my opinion, to help him. And now it's kind of backfired a little bit.
lesson learned.
Mm.
So all we need is a motion to schedule a public hearing for the next meeting at what, 5:35?
September 12th?
Motion second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained. Carries 7-0-0. Anything else anybody wants to talk about? All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Small town with only one lawyer, he's four, small town with two lawyers,
Yeah.
he's four.